The battle is on between the local Catholic diocese and a Grand Rapids historical preservation group.
That issue, the former St. Andrews Elementary, and whether it's historic enough to save from the wrecking ball. 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey is live in Grand Rapids with more on this story. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Brian. So the diocese wants to tear down the old school and create a bit of an open space between St. Andrew's Cathedral right next door and St. Mary's Healthcare just a few blocks down the street. It's part of the Cathedral Square project, but preservationists, well, they may be able to save it from the wrecking ball without even proving that it's historic. Declining enrollment caused the diocese to pull the plug on St. Andrew's Elementary last June. Preservationists want the building preserved for future use, arguing it's part of Grand Rapids history. The school's been around in one form or the other since the late 1800s, and it's that one form or the other that's created one debate. You see, by 1920, two significant fires resulted in significant rebuilds.
And so what are we preserving? It looks like, frankly to me, a lot of buildings that were built in the 1920s that were schools.
But all buildings change and develop, and the fact that it has changed is part of its history.
The diocese says the old building costs the church $3,000 a month to maintain. They figure it would cost $3.5 million to make it useful again, money the church doesn't have. Preservationists say they were blindsided by news of the demolition. The church says it was part of the original Cathedral Square project dating back to 2006.
Well, that's interesting because there was a school there until last June.
The plan, when St. Andrews was a school, was to downsize it, create a new building, because that made more sense. So tearing down the building has always been a part of that plan.
Preservationists want city commissioners to okay a moratorium on demolition and create a committee to study the building's historical significance. That may give people that want to save the building what they want, regardless of what the study concludes. Bonds floated to do work on Cathedral Square, including knocking down the school, will soon expire. The church may not have the money to tear it down.
It has to be maintained, it has to be held up. It will remain empty.
City commissioners earlier today voting 5-2 to bring this matter to a public hearing. That public hearing set for March 22nd at 7 o'clock at City Hall. We'll let you know what happens. Live in Grand Rapids, Joe LaFurgey, 24-hour News 8.
Well, the 5 o'clock is over, but we are just getting started here on 24-hour News 8.